prayer hands emoji about 10 of those. So that was my hashtag mood last Friday when the news emerged that they're going to be getting rid of them. And Jason, I just want to say, of this entire season, perhaps my favorite moment as a Bulls fan was hearing that the front office was going to get removed. I don't know what that says about Bulls fandom in general, but it's a blessed day to be a Bulls fan. There's no more bad basketball to watch, which is actually not terrible. And we might be rid of Boylan, Gar Forman, and John Paxson. Praise be.
So I'm happy for you because when you're happy, I'm happy. But given the state of the world, this is not the best time for a coaching change or a front office change. In due time, like when the league reinstates itself, by all means, can them all. Start fresh. Rebuild around the young team that you have. Because I've said that it'd be a great addition. I think the Bulls are a year away from being a year away. You know, they got some young talent. It has to turn into something. But now's not the time to announce firings and removals. It makes no sense. You know, the economy is so bad. People are struggling to put food on the table. I agree with the move. I don't agree with the timing.
Agreed. I mean, it's weird. The Kenny Atkinson thing as well looks really weird now with where it ended up. I mean, it obviously happened before, but now you wonder, like, I mean, obviously if they had had a crystal ball, the Nets wouldn't have made that move until the offseason. So there's a lot of stuff that's interesting with the way that this timing played out. But no, you're right. I mean, probably isn't a great look to say this.
If the regular season's over, Jacques Vaughn's 2-0 and Nets head coach, so he'd finish with a 1,000 winning percentage.
Raise the roof for Jacques Vaughn. All right,
but
Jason,
before we move into the fun stuff, there is one more announcement: the Hall of Fame. It's quite class. I mean, they announced it. Hopefully, that things will be back to normal and they do the inductions in Springfield later this summer. It's weird that there's going to be no Olympics, so we don't have to worry about Team USA, but this is as star-studded of a class as we've seen, and there have been some studs going into the Hall of Fame. You know, Shaq, Iverson, Jason Kidd, Grant Hill. But the fact that you have the late, great Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett headlining this class, that's going to be fun. That is going to be absolutely fun. So congratulations to that class, which also includes the likes of Tamika Catchings and Rudy Tomjanovich. But obviously those three players who basically carried the torch for guys like us that grew up watching them play and got into the NBA because of their talent. It's very well deserved. Between these guys, I think there's 11 championships rings. Duncan has 5, right? Or 4? 9, 03, 05, 07, 14. So Duncan's got 5, Kobe's got 5, and Garnett's got the 1. So you have 11 championships between these three guys. 3 of my favorites to watch growing up, particularly Kevin Garnett. I've been a huge KG fan my entire life. So just congratulations to the Hall of Fame class. Congratulations to the Bryant family. It's a very good honor. And it's a bright spot that us as basketball fans needed during this time. So I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, that trio, just unbelievable. And I mean, you talk about the championships. KG, I mean, really, would be talking a lot more championships if he had left Minnesota a little bit earlier. You know, I think for younger NBA fans, they often forget or don't even know that one of the problems for KG was that he was basically the first guy who got this contract that was so big that it basically broke the NBA. And the team at the time wanted to give him his money because they didn't want to lose him because of how good he was. Because I think people also forget just how good peak KG was. I mean, KG versus Duncan was a real thing. And if there weren't championships involved, I think if you took out all the championships, a lot of people would take Garnett over Duncan. But because of that contract, he could never get the help he needed in Minnesota. They kind of botched things. It's funny when you look back. I mean,
dare step on Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell post-prime. Come on, Ben.
I mean, look.
Kubiak was an all-star.
Those guys were fine, but they botched the Ray Allen move on draft day. They could have had Ray Allen playing with KG prior to Boston. They blow that one. They made a lot of mistakes, and they never really got him a supporting cast to get there. And he never really got all that close to a title. I mean, he had some tough competition, but there's a world in which if KG is on a star-studded team with another, high-level all-star, I I won't spit on the names that you just mentioned, but if he was there with another high caliber guy, you could have seen him winning just as many championships as Duncan and Kobe, I think. So
A lot
definitely
of
respect
battles
to those
between
guys.
those two. I think the final battle between the big ticket and the big fundamental will be who makes their speech first. I think that they're going to be much needed comic relief, especially on KG's part, because whoever inducts Kobe, it's going to be very emotional. And I hope it gets to be Vanessa Bryant or Phil Jackson, but I think based on the nostalgia and the eulogy that Vanessa gave during the public memorial, I feel like it has to be her. But I feel like the type of person that she portrays herself to be in the media, it's got to be a guy like Phil Jackson.
Mm-hmm. I
So
agree.
that'll be very emotional, and it'll be a good night for basketball. So something to look forward to. But I guess to segue before we go, obviously this quarantine sucks for everybody. No sports, can't go out, can't do anything, stuck in the house. What would we have done if this were 10, 12 years ago and there were no streaming services? So before we go, Ben and I are going to catch the audience up on what we've been watching during this quarantine. And I'm going to lead off by a little segue because just last night I watched Uncut Gems. Who's in that movie?
Oh,
Kevin Garnett. I mean, I've been an Adam Sandler fan, Big Daddy, The Water Boy,
Billy Madison,
Billy Madison,
Happy Gilmore,
Happy Gilmore, all the classics. But
throwing him out there.
I watched that movie because of KG, and he ended up being my favorite part about the movie. So it's not one of the best movies I've watched. I've watched like 7, 8 movies since the quarantine started, but I had to do it because I just love KG. So
I'll add it to my list. The one I'm gonna go with, I'm surprising no one. And we already talked about this, but if you're not there already, go ahead and watch Tiger King. I mean, is there a more fascinating watch? I'm not gonna say it's great TV, but it's like watching a car crash like in real time, but in slow motion. That's what that show is about. It's about just watching dysfunction and everything wrong with the world just collide all at once, and it's a beautiful disaster.
I've been hearing this from a lot of podcasts, but that I've been listening to, so I'm stealing this. But this COVID-19 pandemic will forever be associated with Tiger King.
It's
People are
so
going to look
true.
back on this years down the line and be like, "Oh, it's quarantine, but Joe Exotic did this, and Carol Baskin killed her husband." Da, 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 da. And I want to share this with the listeners and with you. But back in 2014, because I used to go to Yankee spring training in Tampa a lot, my buddy is a radio talk show host at a local New Jersey station, and he got us into Big Cat Rescue and interviewed one of the employees. And for years, I thought that employee was Carol Baskin. I realized we did not meet her, but watching Tiger King, and do you remember the part where Joe Exotic sent snakes in a mailbox to Carol Baskin?
I don't think he actually did. I think he said he was going to. God, I
No,
hope he didn't actually
she
do it.
opened the mailbox and snakes came out. I could be wrong, but I remember that from the
Oh
video.
God, I think you might be right. I think he maybe said he was going to send poisonous ones, but someone else gave her actual snakes. But yeah, at any rate, guess. Go ahead. Yes.
I went to Big Cat Rescue for a tour 2 weeks after that. So when we were at Big Cat Rescue, we had no idea any of this was going on, and we publicized it. I got on a mailing list for Big Cat Rescue. I've been receiving emails from Carol Baskin's team for 6 years. I unsubscribed today because I got an email from Big Cat Rescue about raising money. I said, nope, it's not healthy. I should not be on this mailing list anymore. And then Big Cat Rescue told me they were sorry to see me go. But I enjoyed the tour because I went not knowing that all this craziness was going on. I've had friends that have been to Doc Annals Zoo in South Carolina.
In Myrtle Beach, yeah.
Yeah, so crazy documentary. If you haven't seen it by now, you live under a rock or you don't have Netflix, but I suggest you watch it because high entertainment value. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that little nugget that I've been to Big Cat Rescue. But what else have you watched? Because I have a list in my phone of things that I've watched along with ratings.
So there's a bunch, but before we move on from Tiger King, I have to say it's unique as a show that by the end I'm not rooting for anyone. Like they're all just like everyone in that show is kind of a terrible person. Like by the end,
except the campaign manager.
The campaign manager is amazing. When
he was the only good person.
And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert. But if you haven't watched it, like, sorry, I'm not sorry. Campaign manager comes in and goes, It was the worst year of my life. And it sounds like an exaggeration. And then when you hear everything that happens, you really do think to yourself, you're like, man, that guy had a tough go. I mean, I cannot imagine. I mean, I don't want to go into too many spoilers, but some of the things he personally experienced firsthand are just insane.
Yep.
But God, that show is just full of. I mean, you start to almost like Carol Baskin by the end because of all the stuff she goes through, and yet she may or may not have murdered her husband. So there's not a lot to like when the spouse murderer is in your top 3 of most likable characters theoretically. Not a great sign for the likability of the characters.
No, you know who's not bad? Carol's current husband. He may be an accomplice, but the guy didn't bother me too much.
Got great fashion sense, those guys. I love the little tiger costumes. So what else have we been watching? I've been watching Casa de Papel, also known as Money Heist, just phenomenal. A lot of movies on Netflix, just like everything on Netflix has been delightful.
Nothing stood out to you?
I mean, I love Casa de Papel. I love Money Heist. That's been great. I
Okay.
really enjoy that. So
I've watched several things. Do you watch Ozark?
I've not gotten into it yet, but it's on my list.
So season 3 came out. I finished it in like 2 days. Very good. Won't spoil anything. Watch Ozark. Phenomenal show. But I'm going to give my new favorite show that's from Netflix, and that's All American. Have you seen it?
I did. Okay. We're going to have to chat. We're going to have to chat some All American. So, first season of All American, one of my favorite series I've watched in a long time. I found the second season too dramatic, and I was out after like 2 episodes. I couldn't do it.
See, I thought it was going to be more like Friday Night Lights, where each season is a season of football, but they elected to not do that. But they did get a season 3. I fell in love with like every character, and I have not gotten emotional over a show in some time. I'm sitting there watching this with legitimate tears falling down my face, and I'm not ashamed. Because Entourage and Friday Night Lights are 2 of my all-time favorite series, and this show is like a cross of the 2. Because you have the Beverly Hills lifestyle, you have the Southern California competitive high school football storyline. I loved All American. I watched all 32 episodes in 6 days because I've had nothing to do. And it's my favorite show I've watched so far in the quarantine. Just some other quick hits that I've watched. The Outsider, season 1 on HBO. It's a little Stephen King vehicle. A little creepy, but it was interesting. And then Disney Plus, there's this doc called The Imagineering Story, and it talks about Walt Disney's journey, building the first Disneyland, getting the Florida park up, and then like kind of how all the rides came together. Very interesting if you have Disney Plus and you want to check that out. Before we move to movies, are there any other shows that stood out to you?
Nothing else. You got me covered here, man.
Well, I mean, dude, I work from my room and then I watch movies at night. That's pretty much been my life, especially while I was sick. So I'm just going to give you, because we talked about Uncut Gems, 2 other movies that I watched that were absolutely excellent. That's Knives Out and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Incredible flicks. Incredible.
Loved them both. I watched
Plus,
a
you've
movie
seen
on
them.
Netflix that I will recommend. It's called Uncorked. It's a Netflix original, really solid. It is. It's a little bit more of an artistic. It is not Knives Out or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but it's about it's a fictional story, but it's about a guy in Memphis whose family is into barbecue, and he decides that he wants to be a master sommelier. It's funny, it's poignant. It is the quintessential will make you laugh and make you cry kind of movie. Highly recommend it. Very solid, good performances, and very heartwarming.
Good to know. Might keep that in mind, but I think I'm going to undertake one of the best series of all time that I have not watched, and that's Breaking Bad. I know it's a big undertaking. I've seen the first like 10 episodes, but I think I'm going to start over from the beginning. I mean, I might as well. I've been doing a lot of short series of 1, 2 seasons or movies, but I think I have to take that on.
First season's rough.
I've never seen Breaking Bad, and I've never seen The Sopranos, but I think Breaking Bad will be.
That's my one. I'm gonna try and do The Sopranos. That's one of my goals.
120 episodes, bud. Yeah. It's a lot.
It's a lot. I'm gonna have to, but I'm first gonna finish. I haven't finished Casa de Papel yet, so I'm gonna probably finish that first, and we'll see. And I got a few others on my list. I got Ozark on there. We'll see. But last thing before we go, Jason, I want a prediction from you. This is bold prediction time. to the folks at home, I did not prepare Jason for this.